thing on the list here is for the budget.
Okay, so that you know, this is not a final budget. We have not got budget worksheets or anything like that. I threw together a budget from what we had last year, added the 4%. Just to, because if you remember at our executive meeting when we talked about merging the two departments, you guys told me to do separate budgets and together budget. So for a full commission of whether we're gonna go forward or not, I wanted to have at least something in front of you to look at. So by no means this ain't final dead, this ain't, because we haven't got our budget package yet. That's supposed to be coming next month, this month, whatever month it is. Okay, so in the first section of my packet is my budget. That's my single budget. Okay. We did some figuring when Dawn got here, and I messed up and I thought I did a 4% raise and I actually did a 2% raise. The 29,883, because you gotta remember, if it's single, if we're doing separate, half of mine comes from 901, half of it comes from emergency management budget. And this budget here that you're seeing is only operating. So it ain't the surcharge part of it. This is just the operating part that the Board of Supervisors control. The surcharge budget, that is separate, that always has to stay separate, according to 34A, Iowa code. So other than that, I mean, this is just kind of quick, what it all looks like. We did not put anything in this one for the new building, because how that's gonna look, you'll see it on the emergency management side, all that stuff. So it might be easier just to hold off and wait until the emergency management side to talk to all of it together. I think I'm open for your guys' suggestions.
Can I have one question?
Yeah.
Top line, I'd like a better understanding how you can go from an estimate of 45,000 to 93,700.
Okay. Help me out here, Chris. Because the 98 is what?
The 93,800.
Because, yeah, it's what they gave, what the county gives me, plus what's in my budget. The way I understand it. Because you'll notice on the other sheets where it's the 24, 25, I don't know, Daryl, it's the actual, what I got last year was 45 from the board, right at 45 from the Board of Supervisors. The 93, 790, 723, do you remember that, Rick? Because it's on Rick's too. If you notice, because his is actually 100. Because his is actually 170, and then it's added to the other, that gives them the 300. And so why it's like that is, I don't know.
It basically says two pools of money.
Well, no, not on this one. It's still the same pool of money. Am I messed up here, Chris?
The money that comes into, you were explaining to me earlier,
The money that comes in to what?
that the county comes into 911 and to.
The Board of Supervisors budget every year a set amount that goes to 911, which is the 45,000.
Yes.
And over the past years for EMA, it's been 170,000.
Yeah, and that's.
It's a contribution.
Yeah,
It's not.
That must be I must have miswrote that.
Well, I was gonna say, if you're
Yeah.
asking 93, you're gonna have to be part of your courthouse.
No, I'm not asking for that.
Okay.
No, sorry.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I remember we had trouble with this last year because I didn't understand it and had to get it explained, and I probably just did it wrong on this one.
Well, the way it shows up there, it almost looks like it's doubled on that. So I think it's last year's and this year's, but I don't know that for sure I did not run these, so.
Because this is the one I pulled off of what she sent us last year. That's all I got. I got all
I
this.
think that's what it's got, I think it's got it combined, but I'm not 100% sure of that.
Which, the basic asking is only, well, what I did is I figured 4% is what the email from the board said. So I just did 4%, so what I did is 2%, I only did salary just for this purpose. I did 2% for EMA, 2% for 911. But then when Dawn came down, we were going through everything, because I wanted her to look at it. The 29,383, that's only a 2%.
Yeah, because 4%'s $1,000,
Yeah.
25,000.
And I've got to know, we also will talk about that in the cadence of the meetings and stuff too, because some of the executive meetings and stuff we're gonna be doing is gonna be workshops on this, and, we'll make sure Chris is obviously gonna be invited early,
Yeah.
see this ahead of time, where she can come
I'm
down,
trying.
up to her office. but
So
we'll-
it's,
we'll do that.
all I'm trying to do is give you guys a coalition of what it's gonna cost us to do it separate, or what it's gonna cost to do it together. If that makes sense. So,
I think it'll probably make more sense in the EMA side, but because I didn't look at this one.
because it confused, actually, EMA side is what confused me the worst. So I thought I had this one right, but anyway, so that's what it is. We'll talk more about it when we get down to the EMA side. If that's all right. I did ask my expenditure report for, last month, just to kind of show you where we're at. Sitting pretty good at the moment, with everything that's going on. Nothing major at the moment. Okay. If there's no questions on that.
Okay, no more questions, no more discussion on the budget, then we'll go on to the signs.
Okay, as we talked about in our executive meeting, they want me to bring it to the full commission. The signs crew on the roads, we're doing the signs. They have since decided that they do not have time to do the signs. So we were kind of trying to figure out what to do now. So we did some research, and most of the counties are now having homeowners put up their own signs. So we kind of went down that road. We went down a couple different avenues. Whether I do it, or we hire somebody to do it. Inside our surcharge, we can pay somebody to put signs in. I was paying the roads department, $65 a sign for every sign they put in, reimbursement for that. So, talking through this, we found a couple different options, whether I do it, we hire a contractor to do it, or let them do it themselves. So we start searching some counties. Our ordinance is out of date. Our ordinance still reads that county roads buys the signs and the sheriff installs them. Correct, Dawn?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So we can always go back to that too. Thought you'd say that. So we pulled up the ordinances from counties around us about our size. Jones, there's 3 or 4 of them I pulled up.
But Bremer,
Bremer,
Blackhawk,
Blackhawk. So what they do is they let the homeowners do it themselves, and they charge them for the sign, the pole, and the hardware. So on the one you see here is just kind of a brief template that Evan came up with, which I'll go through the survey a little bit. They want me to figure out, it's gonna cost us about $50 a sign of what I would have to pay per sign to have them install it, if we didn't charge them for the sign. So the first sheet you see here that says address assignment survey, this is survey 123 that Evan came up with. This is just it'll be on the website that people can go to and request a 911 address. Why they do that, if we decide to charge them or not, they have to submit this back with payment of that. And that goes to Evan and Chad. If one of their water or one of the things that Chad does, if they don't pay that, they can't have an address on it. I can't remember
If you
what,
have like sewer, water.
yeah, whatever it is.
Inspections.
Yeah, so what we came up with is, kind of what we were based off is $50 for the sign, the pole, and the hardware. And then if they needed to replace the sign, it was just $25 for the sign. And 25 for the pole if it was just a pole, however it works. So then once they do that, submit that, they'll get an address. Okay, so then we send them out the address and then order the sign for them. They come pick up the sign, we give them a sheet, that's what this is, kind of explains where the sign goes, everything that has to go to where that sign goes. And then they have to fill out the address acceptance survey when they're done and take a photo of it. That way we can upload it into our GIS, up into dispatch. That way it's all up to date. So that's one way to do it. This is kind of, yes, sir.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
We've seen a lot of growth and stuff up in the Amish territory. If this is going by computer and online and stuff, all they get, I don't think they
We'll
have
have-
laptops.
We'll have paper copies too, that they can come get. Because we usually the Amish come into Chad's to get all that stuff done. He'll have copies of this that he can handle.
And they can do it.
So Chad's gonna basically be kind of handling the 911 sign coordination? Is that what I'm?
No,
Okay,
it's a, yeah, because all 911 signs Chad has to do he's the one who gets the first request for it. So Chad passes that off to Evan. Evan's the one who actually gives the house the address itself. He does the parcel split or whatever they're doing. And then Evan gives it to me to do the sign, whether I install it or I order the signs and all that stuff, so all the hardware and the poles themselves. So it's kind of a collaboration between all of us.
okay.
Our office originally was doing all the ordering, and then it went out to secondary roads and got taken care of.
Yeah,
What type of liability does this open up to the county if the sign is not installed?
well, we haven't got that far.
That's my number one
Yeah.
concern. I don't care about a survey. I wanna know what liability it opens up to us.
Depending on which way you guys decide you wanna go, then we'll send it up to Sean to look at, to work through that. Because ultimately, it's the board's decision because you made this job.
Ultimately, everybody has
Obviously-
a sign, right?
Yes, by law, they have to have a sign.
Okay. Obviously though, if Jones County's doing it and they're doing it very successfully, then they're not gonna put their county at liability. Lynn County's not gonna put their county at liability, nor is Blackhawk. You know, so I'm sure that all three of those attorneys have looked at their ordinances, and we would put our ordinance similar to theirs.
Yeah, we're still in the beginning process of this, so we're trying to get a direction that you guys would like me to go.
But that's absolute great comments, because that's what we need to see.
And that was brought up, yes, Sean has to look through all this stuff.
Especially our first response agencies that are out there, they darn well don't want to be a sign that they decided to hang on their
Yeah,
door because there's a good wind chime. You know, those types of things that you don't want to see happen. The other piece is when they do verify that and upload that, the three offices, as they coordinate now, will do a final check and make sure it complies with what we do. So
And then
that's-
inside the ordinance, we do have, inside the ordinance now, there is teeth now that the sheriff can fine them for not putting that sign on. That's what it says now, which I don't know how that all worked out, it was way before my time. If the sheriff, if you guys put them up, how do you claim yourself? Or if they take them down, how that works, I don't know. We're kind of, this is gonna be a kind of a more bigger project, because we gotta do the ordinance too. Update the ordinance. So I know Dawn's working on looking at that stuff. So it's kind of,
Well, the other thing, I'm seeing too, just as a sidebar, the other thing we're seeing, as people are calling in and ordering addresses and getting that, they're asking. They can just have their sign and put them up. Yeah, right now we have allowed for that, for these purposes, it's like, no. We don't do it that way.
and coming into winter, I got signs put in that had to be put in so far. So we're kind of done for the winter, so we have kind of the winter through all this stuff before spring. So I'm just trying to get a direction you want me to go.
I think another thing that's gotta go along with this one, these pool signs, because that's what's taking the secondary roads so much time. I mean, first they gotta go out there and visit the site, and they gotta get a hold of them, call 811, and, I mean, it's a 2-trip thing for them and everything like that. These people, these landowners need to know that the importance of making, we got all these buried utilities out there, the importance of calling for
Yeah,
locating.
and then we got that right in that they have to call a locate.
And I don't wanna go off topic, but talking about the ordinance, what's it state about multiple driveways? Is there something in there?
That comes down to, that's,
We've been down that.
yeah.
Well, I got
That's-
3
that's good.
driveways, 2
Yeah,
sides,
that's
so
better.
that's
That's
why.
better.
Are they, but are they the same number?
No.
They're different numbers, because you must have a barn that's, do you have a split?
North is machine shed, then a house yard, then the south driveway.
Because that's what we're running into,
It all
because,
circles around, but I only have 2 signs. I don't have anything on the north one.
see, that's what we're running into is county, when county roads are doing it, we had everything caught up and they were only doing like maybe 1 or 2 signs a month.
Oh, it's been
No,
this way for
but-
quite a few years, so.
Let me just give you the backstory, that they were doing great, they were getting 1 or 2 signs. Now that Chad's back, he's out touring more, so he's putting in requests for signs for any driveway.
Not any driveway. If there's a silo or if there's.
A building.
Building.
Some kind of structure.
There's one north of Winthrop that they plow over the driveway every spring for corn, but there's a barn back there. That's on our list to put a sign on. So, it just they got overwhelmed, they were doing 30 a month, then it went to 30 a month. So, we were trying to find a happy medium of, any place that has habitants is supposed to have a sign.
Okay, I didn't know what
Even,
the
well,
stipulations
even worse than
were.
multiple driveways, we're getting in some of the business owners like out in the northwest part of the county, where you've got multiple structures on one driveway. And how do you plot that out?
We're getting a lot, right now, we're getting a lot from the Amish that they're building houses next to their parents, and they want their own 911 sign, they want their own mailbox. But theoretically, you're not supposed to do, because you can't have 2
It's the same driveway.
residents on one lot.
And then call the mail system and try to get that figured out.
Yeah.
So
this
that's
is
a
kind of-
nightmare for you guys too.
Yeah, this is one of those projects we're working on between Chad, myself, Evan, to get a system in place to make this better. Because right now, I don't know if you've been out to the annex, but I got a tub of signs out there that are, when I took over with the guy that retired, worked with Matt,
Gary,
Gary, the whole closet was filled with signs. And I, to who knows where. So we're getting through those, figuring out what it all is, and a lot of them are just junk signs. But we got 200 signs that are no good now.
So I guess, what too, for other discussion to get us on, what does the circus board feel the best direction is to go with? What's your thoughts on this along the way? Because we're still a little bit of a quandary. And really don't know right now.
If you made it the homeowner's responsibility, would it be an option, maybe for an additional fee that the county could install it or have a contractor install it?
That's something we could do.
That's something we could.
I've had a couple of retired guys that they found out about us paying county roads that are all over it. I'll put all the signs up.
Yeah, but I don't think they realize you have to go do 2 trips.
Yeah, I know.
Call
And
it.
that's the problem is that when I was doing signs myself, I would take half a day to go do 3 or 4 signs to locates. We have 48 hours after you do the locate to dig. So you gotta give them 48 hours to do the locate. Then after they do the locate, you have 48 hours to put the sign in. So it would take up 2 or 3 days just doing signs.
If you have a homeowner do it, there gonna be certain directions they have, so there's
Yes.
some sort of consistency.
And that's what we wanted, that we'll put that in the ordinance.
That's gonna be a big deal. Yeah, 500 different homeowners wanting to.
Yeah, because right now it says it has to be on the driver's side, 4 foot off the ground, at the bottom of the sign. It kind of spells it out inside that.
Okay.
And I took that wording right from our ordinance we have now. So we can make it say what we want, to where it goes, how it does. The big thing is, like you said, we want consistency throughout the county. Because right now, there's none.
And you're right, it's still gonna have to be monitored, because, like I said, there's some who'll say, well, I've got a great front porch, which is, they can see it from the front porch, so we just hang it there. That's not.
And
the idea.
no matter if we have them do it or not, we're still gonna have to go out and spot check
Final inspection.
and do some spot checking to make sure everything's working.
I suggest split it, let the homeowner pick the spot within the parameters, mark with white paint like you're supposed to, good locate, and send a contractor out to put it into standard.
okay,
They just only one trip. They've got their input into the thing.
the way that it's been all over the court as far as who does it, what I would like to do is I'd like to have it standardized to where, you know, like if the homeowners, we just know the homeowner is supposed to do it, this is the directions they're supposed to follow, if they don't do it, this is what they're gonna get fined. And, you know, once they do it, upload it into the system or call us, you know, somebody will go out there, take a picture of it, gets uploaded into the system, JS Maps has it, Chad has it for his work over here. I mean,
And dispatch has
because I don't want, in 2 years from now, I don't want this going to a different department or going back around to secondary roads, to county conservation, to the sheriff's department, or, it's just, within the last 10 years, it's been all over.
Yeah.
The courthouse.
So that's what we're trying to get to is that we can do a contractor. We started going down that path to see what it would take. Worked with Karen, we would have to write a job description for a 911 site installer, which I haven't found one yet to even look at. Then you have to worry about, do we have to supply them a vehicle? Do they have their own vehicle? Then what kind of insurance do they have to do that? Then you're looking at workman's comp, and there was she had a whole list of stuff.
Like an additional employee,
Yeah.
basically,
Yeah,
Right.
is what it is.
Not a problem, yeah.
so that's kind of, and then one other thing we talked about is could we get a summer, like the road guy, well, a summer kid to come and do signs 2 days a week, 3 days a week. And that's an option too.
But then you're talking another employee.
Yeah, then you're talking another employee that you have to work with comp and all that stuff.
They do a good job for county auditor, so.
Just come sit in my chair out.
You said that, right? The summer? Wow, I ain't going there.
But you gotta keep up on my stuff.
You're sitting pretty close, Gerald.
So my thing is I need a direction. You guys want to, I know I've talked to the board about it, I've talked in our executive meetings about it, but we're getting to a point, I need a direction to go to get this thing finished.
And I know Don is only one voice, but we do have, by the way, I appreciate everybody being here, along the way, but we do have another, I mean, does that sound a reasonable direction? You kind of had a good, I captured those notes, but we'll make sure we have it corrected.
Or plan A and plan B. Plan A is have the homeowner do it, if that doesn't work.
That means I have to do, that means we have to do all the legwork to figure out what was on.
Yeah, I understand.
Still who, yeah.
But that basically comes down to one or the other.
Right, so we just need to make it can't be both ways, it has to be one way or the other.
Right.
If you
Well,
look-
maybe your best bet would be to start with, you know, if the 911 board wants to go this route,
Then go to Sean.
go to
Bring it in
Sean.
February.
I hate that you have to make a decision again,
No, I'm
but
okay with that. If you guys,
until we get
if you guys
something
like
from
the idea
Sean,
of
I don't
doing-
know.
if you guys like the idea of the homeowners, which is cool, I can get this and get to Sean to try getting him to look at it before our February.
Or the board would have to take it to Sean.
And then you guys can, the board has to take it to Sean, but then you guys can make a decision in February. That would still put us ahead of the curve for spring. But either you want the homeowner to do it or you want us to look at hiring a contractor, I guess that's the kind of the, where we're at. And then on top of that, do we charge them or do we not charge them? That's all your guys' decision, not mine.
There's gonna be instances out there when there's an elderly couple that's physically able to do it. Then they're gonna have to hire it done, or they're gonna have to pay the county to have it done. I mean, there's some people that just don't have the ability to do
Yeah,
it.
and we talked at the executive meeting about the elderly people just will go do it for them, but then who's the one that makes the decision when they start abusing that?
Who's the elder thing?
Right.
Yep.
Because then she's gonna say, I'm older than I can. So we'd have to come up with a system to charge whether they pay the county to install it,
So they would pay for their sign
and
and
install solution.
install.
Or else we don't charge them for the sign stuff because we buy signs and the poles and everything with surcharge money.
Let's just say you're not getting any money out of that now, are you?
No. I use surcharge money to pay for all that because that's a line in 34A. Roughly,
Plus one used to.
we were running about 10,000 a year in signs. And then when roads started doing it, I had a couple bills from them that were a couple $1,000, plus the signs on top of that. I was still paying for the signs, poles and all that. The $65 was just the install.
You gotta remember, if the county does something like this, you can't, by Iowa law, you can't charge more than what it actually costs you to be able to do it. I mean, if it costs you, costs the county $50 to do the install.
I tried
you
breaking it
can't charge
down.
60.
I tried breaking it down from the last time I bought something, but I buy it in bulk. And so I tried to break it down, get as close as I could, and that's how I came up with the $50. I mean, I would have to reach out and probably get bids from different sign makers, different poles, that way we could get the bidding process, I think.
But we've always paid for the signs before.
Yes, yes,
And then plus we did installation.
yes.
So it would be safe to say that if we paid for the sign and the homeowner had to do the installation, they still have skin in the game.
Yes. Yeah. And that's,
And then the sign, what I guess my biggest fear is if they don't pay for the sign, are they just gonna throw it in some attic someplace until we go by and say,
yeah, what you're saying. And we do have, I believe, Evan, one of the things he was gonna add to that sheet was a timeline. They have X amount of time to get it into the ground. 10 days.
Have Scott's crew go out there and rap on the door.
Well, by,
We would have to do that, and I would take them to the sheriff too. If we had, I would have to do it first, and if they wouldn't comply, then I'd have to take it to the sheriff.
by one call, they've got a guideline.
January, February, winter month accommodation.
So, and all I'm asking is for a direction. If you like the idea of homeowners doing it, then we can always have talk to Sean. And then if you want the homeowners to do it, do we charge them for the sign and pole and stuff, or do we absorb that in our surcharge, as surcharge, as we do now?
And initially, I guess it'd be, the board, or I guess anybody, but they're open offices. Initially, Evan and Chad really didn't have an opinion either way. They're gonna work the same type of procedures that they do anyway, so it really doesn't affect them per se. Unless we could use, I guess, Chad does have a contract, or he's actually employed and does water samples. You know, maybe his guy would wanna do some signage. I don't know. We need to go down that road.
I think the biggest thing, if you go that route, to try and keep them part-time or temporary.
Make sure it doesn't
Part-time,
go over the
the biggest thing.
37 hour or whatever that is, yeah.
So like one question you might be able to answer, Chris, like the summer hires for the roads, are they seasonal? Are they full-time? Do they get full benefits? Do they?
No.
yeah, first.
They do get hours?
Yeah.
You just do a contract for it?
That's the problem, then we gotta write a job description for a 911 sign installer. And then you have to,
Which is another position.
Karen had a list of stuff, we asked Karen about a contract, basically X amount of dollars to do signs.
There's such thing like an independent contractor.
That's what we're talking about,
That's what I'm trying
like
to,
1099. Yeah, that was my first thought, because, no, and then, but if you have to be a qualified sign installer, what is that?
It would just have to be, like, if we subcontracted it out and did, the 1099 thing. And this is a thing where Karen and I agreed to disagree, because, and I understand what she's thinking, that the IRS wants taxes. They want taxes out of that. But if Joe Blow is contracted and he gets his 1099 and doesn't report it, that's no skin off us.
yeah, because,
That's his problem.
because my,
Because we report it to the IRS. They know that Joe Blow's got
Right.
see, to me,
$5,000 from the county.
honestly, the easiest way that I thought to do this was like the independent contractor, 1099. They have to supply their own vehicle with an X amount of insurance that they have to hold. And then we just charge them, or we just pay them the $65 for the sign, no mileage, nothing like that, or whatever, that set fee
You
is.
got some quality control at the end of the day too.
And that's, to me, then you're gonna be more consistent.
Yeah, and I had,
That's the way.
I've actually had two people ask me about it. One was Gary Gessel. A
I
retired.
was gonna say, we can hire Gibson Construction
Well,
to put signs in it.
he does all of that. He asked about it and
Problem you could find with that is, he does it this year, and he said, I don't want to do it next year.
then we'd have to hire, we'd have to find somebody else.
Next year, you gotta go to somebody else, so I wouldn't even go that way.
Possibility.
No, and I mean, I don't want to add any more expense to, right now with budgets the way they are, I don't want to add more expense to the county's budget or anything like that.
Yeah, this would all be surcharge, yeah. unless you have to do diapers and stuff like that, which
Independent contractor, you would
You
not.
wouldn't
we're not
have
to
to
do it in that contractor. So I mean, that is a viable option if you guys don't want the homeowner to do it.
Well, that's the other thing that can be approached to Sean, because even as an HR department, that's still not a labor attorney. So Sean would have that access to a labor attorney to ask that question if he.
We have that access.
If he needed it, well, there you
We
go.
have,
Nice.
we have an,
I think that's.
Yeah,
we have one in
a
Des Moines that
check
we have
into
to-
myself.
Wait, I did check into it.
You did?
Yeah, okay, so what the deal is, and as long as we don't already have that position in-house, it's, go against any union contract we have. Had we already had this position and then we eliminated the position, and then we try to do a 1099 contract with, a private contractor, then we would be in trouble. Since we don't have a sign installer other than secondary road, they do their secondary road stuff anyway, then we can go with a private contractor. However, you're stuck with trying to find somebody, trying to keep that person, and how much are you gonna charge them per sign? Because I know if I drive from Independence to Lamont, it's farther than if I drive from Independence to 10 miles outside of town.
Right.
And how often do they have to go back? They have to go back twice, they have to take a picture, they have to do all this stuff. So how much are they gonna charge us? Are they gonna charge us per mile? How much, what are you gonna pay them per sign?
And do we have to,
Canyon County's big.
do they have to bid it, or can we just say, this is what we're offering, and see who would take it?
I would think you'd probably wanna take bids on
I
it,
do.
and I would say
Fixed
just have
price,
to be a
whatever it may be, is your.
flat cost per sign.
Like your.
And they have to figure that out
Everything else, something like that.
That could be an option.
The one to work around was just have the homeowner do it like all the other counties have gone to, because that just seemed like this, an easier route, and it's just resolved, and there it is. To do that, you have to make a decision, are you gonna charge the homeowner for the sign, or you're not gonna charge him for the sign?
Don, you mentioned something about, if there's an existing job description on this or anything like that. I haven't reviewed yours. Is there anything in your job description that calls for you to install these?
Yeah. The original one that when we started, yes,
His job description says it, but then our ordinance doesn't say it.
yeah. So it's kind of, we've been working on, if you remember during budget season last year, we were asked to update because the county road started doing the installs. So we started working on updating our job description, mine and Rick's. And basically what we changed the wording to is oversee the sign installation. Which means I necessarily don't have to do it, but I can, or somebody else can do it, and it'd still be under me, or under.
You're basically, you'll be managing to make sure it got done,
Yes.
got done properly.
Yes. And
And that's based off of the 3 offices that do that job now.
so,
Got a motion?
I can't make a motion.
No, are you looking for a motion at this
We
point?
need something to.
I'll make a motion, we have the homeowner mark the location, 911 or 811 call, and contractor to install sign and post as provided by the county.
So the homeowner process.
They energize and start the process.
Why would the homeowner mark the sign?
I think there's a little latitude where he wants
Put
it.
in a certain spot.
Yeah, there's a little latitude, grandma doesn't want it right here, she wants it 2 feet over type of thing. Then there's only one trip out to the site.
So your motion was homeowner market and a contractor put it in?
Correct.
Contractor's supposed to be the one that does a one call.
Yeah.
They can't work on somebody else's one call.
Good one, yeah. Okay, you have a motion on the floor, we die for the lack of a second, and or adjust the motion.
Readdress the motion that he said again.
Roger Sill, motion for the homeowners process to, make the motions and line up the contractor to do it. And I would assume probably.
County
contractor.
County.
County contractor. So that will go through 911.
So just to understand, who's putting the sign in there?
We would have an independent contractor.
Contractor.
And then I would pay the contractor to install the sign plus pay for the sign pole and hardware, correct?
you'd also have been contractors go out there
Yeah.
and do call the 811 in.
But then you're getting right back to, the contract you have this year, next year you don't have it, you gotta go get another one. Well, we just,
Well, we've
Do you
got a
see the
motion.
dilemma I'm having, folks?
But we get in situations like that all the time.
Like I said, they're just-
For somebody that's doing our snow removal, don't mean they're gonna wanna do it next year, the lawn mowing and stuff like that. We deal with that constantly. We don't know from year to year who we're gonna have a contractor doing what.
The current process has gone around robin up the times of the year.
You take those bids every year.
So we've got a
So
motion.
then, if we,
We are clear on the motion?
You have a
We're
first,
clear on what the
you have
motion
a
is?
second.
Yeah, you have a first, you have a
Right,
first.
first floor. Do we have a second on that motion?
I'll second
Okay, we got a first and a second. All those in favor?
it.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
We're gonna do a
Okay.
show of hands.
Roll call.
Just for clarification, Chair, I will not be voting on this.
Okay.
Roll call, go around Fairbank,
no,
Independence.
No.
Jessup,
No.
Lamont. MHI,
No,
Stanley,
Yes.
Winthrop,
Yes.
Sheriff,
No.
Supervisors, I can be gone,
No.
and Auditor.
Yes.
Jason, Scott. That's everybody. Did I miss anybody? Did I miss a community? Representative, I think I got everybody. 7 no's, 1, 2, 3, yeses, the no's have it.
Okay, so that one was shot down. Do we have another motion?
I make a motion that we have the homeowner do it, and we will have our county attorney review similar ordinances and write up an ordinance for Buchanan County.
Okay, we got a motion.
Is the homeowner going to be paying for it and installing it?
911 will pay for it and install it. No, I'm sorry, 911 will pay for it, the homeowner installs it.
The 911 will pay for this material out of the surcharge.
Yeah, yes, I have a
Okay,
surcharge.
so, basically as done now, homeowner to do it, county attorney to look over the policies that we have presented here. And then 911 to continue paying for the do with the homeowner install. Is that correct?
911 will pay for the materials for the
Right.
homeowner install, yeah.
You're right, yeah, homeowner install. Okay, just making sure you got that right.
Okay, so any questions on the motion? Do I have a second?
second,
We got a motion and a second.
do you have further discussion?
Any further discussion?
Discussion.
I didn't want to interrupt your motion, but can we have something put in there that if they're elderly, disabled, something to that extent, if they need special accommodations to request that through this application process? I think that limits
Yes,
a couple of
special,
years,
yeah, I mean,
special accommodations or something like that. I just don't want to see people put out.
especially like, yeah, ADA compliance and stuff like that. absolutely.
Right.
So could do special needs through, 911, request.
Yes,
Is that an amendment to your motion?
that is an amendment to the motion.
Would that be-
And for 911 to, make sure that it's installed.
Manage it, yeah. Okay.
Okay, so you want to repeat that again now?
Why do you ask that?
I'm glad I'm recording this.
Yeah, we have a motion from Dawn for the home, with the county attorney to look at the, what's presented here. 911 will continue to pay for the materials, the homeowner will do the install, but the possibility of a request for any special needs through our 911, point here, which would be Chris's office at this point.
Okay, you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, is the second still?
Do you agree to that on the second motion? Okay, I've got
Can I have
it.
a comment? Who's gonna be the responsibility to decide if they're elderly?
I was just thinking the same thing, and are we?
Maybe should we have it that the homeowner is ultimately responsible for installing the sign?
Yeah.
If they can't do it,
They can hire somebody to do it for them. I mean,
because I think that's gonna put you guys in a pickle trying to figure out who's elderly, who's.
Just
not
the
able.
wording of it, worded differently than an elderly or special needs, just.
I think just like what the state does, they ask you, do you need special accommodations or not? Yes or no?
Leave it at that,
And
yeah.
if someone's gonna hire their grandson to do it, they wouldn't need it.
See,
But if they would need special accommodations or something like that, they can request it, and then it's not elderly or disabled, or, you know, you get into HIPAA violations with all that stuff,
Well,
then
go
special
don't isolate
accommodations,
any
just put it,
group,
yeah.
don't isolate any group, keep it generic, okay?
And would there be a cost to that accommodation? And who's gonna install
Yeah, it goes
it?
back.
Well, and is that something that the secondary roads can do those accommodations for a minimal, instead of doing 60 a month, you know, they're back to doing,
But according to Brian, no. We're too busy.
I've got a question. I don't know if this is time that this needs to be put into motions or not. But the homeowner's gonna do it. And it's improper installation, how that's gonna be policed and corrected. What we're gonna do about that, if we go out there and find out they were way off where they put it and the height is off and.
well, and that's why I went no with, the one, the homeowner, if we're going out there and if they decide to move it or whatever, if they don't follow the guidelines and go in there, they're the ones that installed it. You know, it's gonna be a lot more, it's like, hey, you can't blame it on somebody else, the contractor, somebody that said that they came out here. You know, this is what you signed your contract to, that you did this. This is.
So it doesn't have to be put in the ordinance, we can just simply, the attorney might be all right saying, like it was a violation of the contract.
I think it's already.
It's already in the ordinance.
I believe it's already in the ordinance for that, because I think we need something for vegetation and things like that,
Yeah, the vegetation has to stay down.
to be able to do it from.
I think there's fines associated with it. If they-
Yeah, I don't know if it's something that has to be like cited in
Now,
court.
the other thing
I
that,
don't know if there's a scheduled fine for it, there might be like,
let's test your parliamentary procedure here. Just a quick question. You got a question, you got a second one? Oh, sorry.
You have a motion and a second on the floor, you can call for the question. You can leave it open for discussion, that's up to.
Mr. Chair, call for that question. Mr. Chair, call for the question.
Yeah.
Okay, call for question.
That is, take it to vote as it is. We're still at homeowner to do, county attorney to look at, 911 to pay for, with the total responsibility of the homeowner to install. We did add that, any special request for a comment or special through 911 coordination. That is the first and the second. Does that sound correct? Okay. Call for question. Again, we will go in order. Fairbank.
Yeah.
Independence.
Yes.
And Jessup.
No.
Lamont.
Yes.
MHI.
Yes.
Stanley.
No.
Broken, no. No. Winthrop.
No.
And Supervisor, obviously you made the motion, that probably better be a yes. Sheriff
Yes.
and Auditor.
No.
Okay, that's everybody again. 1, 6, 3, 4. Yeses have it.
Okay.
Now, we'll take it to the county attorney, and we'll push this back out electronically. That way, for those that are present here too, if they've got questions, they can call, and don't be afraid to reach out to the ones that aren't here as well. Let them know what's going on. It is a dilemma. But to the best of our ability to protect our citizens, that's the reason behind it all, so that's the big thing. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
So, I was in, let's go to the equipment update.
Everything for me is running good. Radio wise and stuff like that, which you'll see later, but everything's running good right now.
Any projects?
All right, the dispatch admin lines are in the process. The phones have got in. The, what's it called? FXO is here. We're working with the coordination to get the fax machines off the lines that are here, and that way the FXO can go in. We're getting there. If you remember, the reason why we did this project is dispatch, when they transfer calls, we're losing the calls on the ShoreTel system, and the ShoreTel system is obsolete, so we had to upgrade the system. So it's going, we're getting there. It's, our plans were to have it done before the first of the year, and I think we're on schedule for that. So that is the last project for dispatch. That everything's new then. Correct, Jason?
Come up with something. How many years?
So that's where we're at with the admin lines.
EOC.
EOC, we'll talk more about it in Rick's, but they have started construction. If anybody wants to see blueprints, here's the blueprints. We can talk more about that because that's more emergency management.
Okay, and page batteries.
Okay, now you guys remember at the executive meeting, I brought up a lot of these pagers that we bought, the batteries are going bad. There's a life of 2 years on the batteries. Correct?
1 year.
1 year on the batteries.
1 year on that.
So what he did is, we need to decide whether we want to buy the batteries for the fire departments to replace them all, or if we're gonna leave that up to them. Batteries are $33 each. That's $33 each, and we have 278 pagers.
What was it?
978.
I couldn't find the paperwork we had. I know you emailed the quotes to me.
278 times 30, is that what we're?
33.
9,174.
Over.
They're only guaranteed for 1 year?
Yep. Right here too.
We bought them the equipment, if they,
I think
my personal is, it needs to be back on the fire departments. I mean, we got them the equipment, we got them where they need to be, where everyone needs to be. And then I'm gonna throw my financial hat on. I don't know what our budgets are gonna do this year. I don't know. I'm keeping my fingers crossed we don't have to get rid of employees.
That's kind of what.
Well, always, in the past years, it's always been the fire department's responsibility for their own equipment. County never bought anything. But now all of a sudden, the county's buying everything for them.
Well, the reason why we had to buy everything, because they couldn't afford it to change the system.
So that's fine, but they're in there now, but shouldn't they maintain them?
That's your guys' decision. That's why I brought it up to you. That's why I went to full.
And the good part is now is everybody's budgets are going through the same thing in the cities, but at least we are hitting them at budget time and surprising them after the budgets are certified. And that's why the discussion definitely now along the way.
The only bad part of it is, if the battery goes dead, they won't use it, they'll rely on their cell phone.
Yeah, we're not using them now with most of the stations.
Entirely possible.
Well, there again, that's not our responsibility, but they're doing it, unfortunately.
We've already explained to them that I am responding can go away if they're not gonna use their pagers. That is a backup that we pay for as
We try to convince you.
I don't know, but it'd be hard to shut off.
I know. But no,
That's a bill I guarantee they don't
I
want to pay.
think they should take on the responsibility.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that, I just want you guys to.
Is there a better, I suppose you're stuck with this system, though, a better.
Yeah, well,
battery?
they're all about the same. The reason we went with these is because the departments voted to have voice on their pages, correct? Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, the terminology.
Yes, in order to get voice to come through from dispatch. There's two basic options. One of them was to do it through the P25 system, the way you guys are. The downside of that is Unication is the only manufacturer that makes a pager P25 system. Otherwise you go back to a tone voice system and you're having to maintain two different systems. Basically put a whole other system in just for paging, or you go to something like a Swiss Phone Digital, and that's the same type of
We don't wanna
deal.
go back there.
So,
I got a question on the purchasing. You know, a lot of times you're better off, maybe, would the county have better buying power, ordering more than maybe just the individuals, fire departments ordering just a handful of them?
No, I tried that card first. It was $33 whether they buy them or we buy them, or back.
Would it make a difference if you bought one or
Yep.
20?
Are they accessible to the department?
They have to get them through Raycom, yes.
Two right now, okay. They can.
Yeah, and that's,
Yeah.
every department has roughly 20 pagers, 20 to 25 pagers. So, if that helps you.
So has this been on 2 years already?
we've been going on the third year, so
Yeah.
the good part is that that's probably on these departments, right? We're only just starting to see some of that now.
Okay, so
We
we've
guys
got,
have gotten some good ones.
so we've gotten close to
Yes,
3 years.
yes, and that's how this all came about. People called and asked me if I had extra batteries. And I didn't, and I said no, and they kind of told me, Blake was one of them that called me, he has what, 5 or 6 going bad?
I guess my personal thought would be, as these fire departments go on, I kind of would have to agree, just to take that responsibility and as a recommendation, we as a 911 board could recommend, hey, if everybody, you better plan on, replacing 50% of your batteries for your pagers every year from this point forward, just to keep a rotation, or 25%, 30%, whatever that number is, a third of your batteries every 3 years.
Let's say if you get 3 years, it's.
And I'm good with that, I just, I had to bring it up.
Just
You guys make the
So we
decision.
need a motion here.
I would.
Oh, you should.
If you would,
Get a
please.
motion for how we wanna handle the batteries.
I'll make a motion that the individual departments are responsible for battery replacement.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, you have first and a second. Do you wanna do a roll call or do you wanna do a?
No, we shouldn't have to, just do a,
Okay,
Just
all those in
abstain.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Three fire chiefs.
Hey, was it 1 and 2? Was it 3?
Roger, Blake,
Okay, yeah, that's,
you said you had, right?
I only have 2.
The departments, like always, but I agree with what Ron said.
Yeah,
Right.
so.
And
I had 2, yeah, I had 2, so I
I just-
heard it right.
Chair, so what is what is everybody, their average when they take on the pager, how many hours per day is it actually work, you know, you have a life?
Well, mine was dead before I came here, so.
How long?
Like, is
does
it like
take
4
you?
hours, 4 hours during, like when I got the mark turned on, I knew it was dead.
How much, it all depends on how
Depends
much
on
stuff
the
you're
use.
scanning.
It depends on the
I'm
use.
not, I mean, I don't listen to nobody except, you know.
County fire.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, our old ones, my God, that could go for 4 days and just, you know, I mean, that's different technology, I get it.
with these pages, they are set up kind of the same as what a radio is. They're constantly transmitting out of the pager. In order to read the system, they have to do that, which is the reason the battery life is a lot less than what it is on an old minute or pager. I know
the max I can get out of that is 20 hours. And that's if I stay in excellent coverage
So new battery.
with a brand new battery, yes. That pager's getting, I've had that for a year and probably almost 2 years now. And I'm guessing it's probably for about straight now.
Yeah, and I just don't see no, since, for me, I rely on the phone. And I realize that's the backup, but I'm not gonna carry a pager, carry my phone, and they want me to carry this $5,000 radio or whatever these new radios handheld costs. It's like,
No, we don't want you to carry that.
sorry, I'm not carrying all that.
That's a fire department's decision.
But
That's on the chiefs.
So they need to start maintaining their own equipment.
Me too. Doing training.
Okay, I'm gonna put that out
I
to
got
the
a question
chiefs.
about the batteries. How do you tell when they're getting near, is it how long they hold a charge? Or how do you tell when your battery's starting to fail these replacements?
It'll be back to when it's low.
How long they hold a charge is the number one way we found, that's how fire departments are gonna notice that their battery is going bad.
So technically, you could be in the middle of the day, you could get a call, and you wouldn't even hear it because your battery's dead.
Oh, and the pager will tell you when the battery's dead.
They start beeping it.
It starts beeping at me if they're around it and or have it on, they should. In some cases, if they're working we've got some that work in industry that'll leave it on their desks or in their lockers. It could possibly go dead in that locker before they get back to it. If they're not carrying it, we try to get the people trained to shut them off, turn it back on when you put it back on. That saves the battery. If you're not listening to it anyway, you might as well save the battery, but that's hard to do.
Yeah. So I'll put a message out to all the fire chiefs and let them know.
So what's the life on the radios? That's what the handheld.
The batteries on the actual portable radios.
Correct.
I believe they're recommending, I don't remember, 2 or 3 years recommended on those.
I think.
I'm thinking 3. I think the warranty on the portable a year, but they recommend replacement every 3.
$33 too.
No, a clip,
Those are 100.
a clip breaks off every time it goes bad.
Actually, while we're doing this, we probably better start investigating some prices on those batteries too, while you're out saying.
My only concern is if we have issues now, we come to you guys for it, and then you're gonna cause some confusion going, oh, well, if my pager's broke, I come to you, but if the battery's dead.
That's the,
Cause my concern is, the guys fucking just drive over them. And now it's your problem.
Yeah.
The battery wasn't working, sorry.
but they are, unification is.
Now, if you get one tomorrow that's broke, cause I broke it.
Yeah, watch him show, don't answer the door tomorrow.
Remember when we first got the pagers, we got the 5-year warranty since we bought them up front. So we've had sent a lot of them in right away that people were breaking, antennas off and the middle button and stuff like that. Well, now they're starting to come down on that and saying it's use. It's not under warranty. Wear and tear, or whatever they call it. So we are getting some of that now.
Is there cheaper options out there?
For pagers,
That is the only
that's
option.
the only option for pagers.
If you want to keep voice.
What if I don't?
Actually, we can't go down to our system. We have to change the system.
Okay, just
All right.
clarification, Mr. Chair, the motion did carry with 2 nays.
Okay, so let's go on to the next. Grants,
None.
okay, radio,
We just got through our annual PMs on our system and all the radios. Everything looked good. The Raycom went in and touched every radio in the county, all the tower sites, everything, and everything looks good right now. So, knock on wood. So, we're good for 2023.
okay. Anything else on that?
No.
Training,
The only thing I got down here is we are gonna host the G191 ICS EOC interface class on March 20th. And then the U of O conference, which is our annual training, is May 8th through 10th.
And sorry, we're talking acronyms, we'll, let everybody know ICS is Incident Command System, EOC is Emergency Operations Center, especially since we're gonna be doing, since we are doing the new build, and we have at least 3 new mayors-elect that are gonna be in the county. We felt the need to bring people back together again and do that. It's been a while since we've done it, thanks to the whole COVID thing and everything else, so it'll be good timing to showcase and maybe even talk about election security along the way, like we did, and should be good business over there by the time we're done with this, so it'll be a good thing. So that's why we're doing that.
Okay, and the next regular meeting will be.
Actually, we, in the emergency management, we sat down and went through next year and get back on a normal schedule. So there is a schedule for meetings in your packets, which we'll talk about in the emergency management side. We'll just tag on 911 with the emergency management one, because you're all the same people.
Very, very few are different within the 2 boards. There's some additional ones we send invites to, but unless there's a system change, we really don't need a whole lot, but still appreciate everybody coming and representing.
If nothing else, I will entertain a motion to close this meeting.
So moved.
First,
Second,
all in favor? Opposed?
It's been a pretty loud second there. That was without even hitting Gerald beside you there along the way. Just a second. All right.
Okay, I'm done.
Thanks again, everybody. No, we're not done. Well, we're done with that meeting.
Yes.
What's everybody want to do? Want to take a little break?
Take a 5-minute break.
Or take a 5-minute break? Like I said, restrooms down
Hey,
there.
Chris, can I show you something in blueprints? I want to double check with you.
okay, I know how to read blueprints.
Well, that's due for elections. Flowability.
Like layout and elections.
Rick, as far as restrooms, is there any reason they
No,
can walk
blueprints.
by the door?
Absolutely, you can go up by the door. You can go up by the door or get down the end of the hall. Men's restrooms right at the top of the walkout door. Just remember, if you go outside for a smoke, well, you can get back in. You got your,
And now we're around, down here, and I think this door right here, this is where it's at. And there's a cross there. Now,
Too good.
Because we can't do it.
we can't do that. So what we're gonna do is, this is the side. This is the. That's gone now.
You need to do that.
Well, we can't move this door. Gotta leave that there, so we're gonna take this one and put a space.
Yeah, where are the old ones?
So, just wanna make sure you're still doing that way.
As long as you don't get an answer.
Okay, I just wanted to double check with you.
Yes, no.
How this is set up, we're gonna have to just change how it all laid out, because there's holes in here that the plugins and everything are gonna be.
I'll be all right.
On your machines, you have to plug it in. I'll have all of it.
I will have to have, my FES, my FBT. There's 2 iPads. So ultimately, I need 4 out. But I need, yeah, 2 can stay together, but the other 2 are kind of spaced out.
Well, for these tables up here, I have 2 spots in the actual floor. But then there'll be outlets for the monitors on each side.
Okay.
I think we
can
deal with that.
I
I'm gonna fix that, or I'm not bringing the mail out.
The little tables on the outside, they're only 2, they're just plastic, by 8 tables, so those can be moved. These ones are the ones that can be moved.
So-
They're 4 by 8 by 1.
Even before we lay that out, we'll do a walkthrough.
Okay.
I just wanna make sure if there's anything you think that you need to change down.
No, I wanted to.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought you
I'm
said.
not that. And actually, when we had shot at public health, thank you, man. Thanks for holding this for me. It works. I really need it.
And that's kind of what we thought.
Max story, because it would max amounts each year.
Yes.
And you only have that many.
Did you take a picture of that? Well, wait, we gotta get it in some
Yeah,
geographic.
because they literally walked into the meeting room and they opened the two iPads, started answering questions, driver's license, and they walked back, and they went into their ballot, then they walked over to the voting booth, which was
Right.
south side of the building.
Yeah, but I'm
And
still
then I
having
had my
problems with
ADA
that
set
initial
up, and then
discussion.
right as they went out the door.
We need to get better description.
It's the only thing that we'll run into here, I can't remember when it is.
So I'm trying to.
I don't know how many times you don't want.
It's like one of those things, what's that for?
That's gonna be out underneath.
Probably have to ask.
The other issue that was
Someday.
Find out.
The other thing we can do is, we can always special that people. We can always special.
And we're trying to figure out if the weather's, have somebody just walk.
We got the stance, so let's get.
Just to push it towards.
Okay, cool.
So we had to first find.
That's all I wanted to make sure.
City limits. And to our line and the city. Agricultural to the west. I think there's a first. But then they get things like a big barn west is kind of big. So we're trying to go through that. I don't want them to get this pulled off. When I'm leaving, most times I'm gonna drive. 6 or 8, you're going across, then when I'm coming into the morning, then they don't know what's going on. I don't think so I don't know if I'm gonna get to that one. In general, it's just, flesh out. I just want to make sure that you were aware. Dave,
I'll kick this off here.
That's why they need to make the rule. They maintain all their own.
What's that?
and I don't know. Okay, so I've got Charlie there, but just in case.
Break it?
You want to take a picture of this, Sonny?
Yeah, I will when we're done. Or slide it over here.
Yeah, I'll slide it over in case there's a roll call, in case there's a roll call.
Don't make it yourself.
Get a record.
Well, they don't care.
I didn't think I had.
With the record, you
Well,
got.
that makes it easier to notice.
I guess I did the second.
You're here. I know.
I didn't either.
Let's roll.
That's even.
Here we go.
That's good.
There you go. All right, we'll open the meeting for the, for the Emergency Management Commission. Minutes or roll call? Roll call first.
It's, yeah, we have four, but yeah.
We have four? Do we have any minutes from the last meeting?
I didn't find them, I'm sure Charlie sent them. Usually what I do is I'll spend either the day before or the day of looking for it. Probably now is as good a time as any to give you a quick status. I had Chris send out my personal status of FMLA. I have taken FMLA, we've got some things going on, just please keep, one of our former board members, in your thoughts and your prayers, but, my family, they're going through some serious health problems. We did get, Ralph out of the hospital this morning, had a serious blood infection. They're not sure they can find anything, but, his wife was on 24/7 care and watch, so the family's been trying to do that. As of a week ago, my wife decided to take a full gainer with no twist and stuck the landing and broke her arm. So I'm doing everything on that end right now. So the board of supervisors approved limited FMLA. I'm still coming in and trying to keep up with stuff, but a personal thanks to Chris and Dawn's come down and helping out with a lot of stuff. So thank you all. Sorry, we're not quite as organized as we would be normally. We're going to try to get back into a normal cadence, as you'll see through the meetings here. This has taught me that, and we tested to and have this discussion too. It doesn't necessarily even have to be me sitting at this table. We've built a program that we can run this with the commission, run this with the people we have. So I was going to save that for the end, but I'll do that now. So that's kind of what's going on with that, so that you know on the way. So with that, we'll continue to look for the minutes. I'm positive Charlie sent them to me. I just can't find them in my file. We'll make sure that we get that along the way. We'll send it out with our other stuff.
The last meeting, if I recall, we didn't have a lot of business.
There wasn't a whole lot of business
Still,
along
we
the
need
way.
to have.
And then the other one was the budget approval. Yeah, the other one was the budget approval, and we've gotten that from back in February.
All right, we'll go on to financial report.
Okay, financial reports, and Chris had did that stuff and printed out. What you have, and I think your packets have them highlighted too.
Yeah.
There's gonna be, here, the highlighted changes are what reflects going out to the new building and, pardon me?
The two on.
Yeah, there's two that we've added to that, one is one that was there when we had the lease for the pickup at the very bottom of the budget page, and the other is just a uniform line item that we've got in there that actually, part of the reason for adding that is something the association is kind of recommended doing, go a long way, we're following the guideline there. The other part is Chris has been able to write grants for some of the stuff in the safety equipment to include uniforms. We've got protective clothing for our winter gear, our winter boots, numerous amount of things. And most currently, the Pipeline Association grant has come through for go kits and backpacks. And if you want to take a cruise on your way back out the door, you can go through my office. You can see a lot of that equipment along that east wall already that's coming in and doing that. And for helping with that. And I think you found the light. I knew we had a pipeline before on, but magic on that. So that's not my magic. But the other ones that you see there will be some shared costs that we have with public health services. So there will be a significant difference if you look at it along the way, but then that also took a little bit of difference away from the Board of Public Health and their budget away. So it's kind of apples for oranges. The biggest part that we're gonna be looking at, we're looking at in work sessions, and we've talked with the board members about this, to include Chris, but probably more extensively with the sheriff and with Dawn, is the combining of the 911 basically and EMA under the same auspice. Right now, we're doing 3 budgets. We're doing budget under what Chris talked about at first, and we will verify that. That number doesn't look right. I can't come up with that, Gerald, so I'm not sure where we were at on that. It's separate, but then we have that surcharge budget that has to remain. 34 dictates that has to stay there. Under the other, what they did, essential services, but with 29C and that Iowa code, they could do those, we could do those budgets together all under the Office of Emergency Management. We're allowed to do that now. So that would be under the same. Yes, it's going to be changed, but we're going to be changing anyway. What we have to verify is we need to have a complete work session with Chris, make sure this works in the auspice, see what other counties are doing. We know some are doing it. We know some are successful with it. I don't know how they like it. So I don't know if you've had a chance to reach out.
I sent a thing out on our base camp, and no one has responded that hasn't combined.
Okay.
Oh, I take that back. One did, and 75% of it, they have one employee. 75% of the expenses is EMA and 25% is E911.
Okay.
But they only have one employee.
Which county was that? Do you remember, top of your head?
No.
God, I would think, if anything, I would think it'd be the other way around. But
I can let you know, but
Probably
I don't.
because it's mostly, probably their expenses are probably mostly the employee.
Yeah,
Probably.
the only thing you can, the surcharge won't pay for is the salaries and nine-one-one
Yeah.
and benefits.
Now, that's the other piece, and thanks for bringing that up, Chris. Because of that, we've gotten approval from the state. It wouldn't be quite as much as what that, hopefully, assuming it's straightened out, EMPG funding is, but they are too, because of the timeline, right, Chris? The timeline's been horrible in the past. Now they're changing that to line up with our fiscal year finally.
We haven't got EMPG grants since 2021.
Yeah, and we have, in fact, I've got a check sitting in my office, and that, it was sitting there yesterday, and I didn't get up here, sorry. But with that, yeah, now it should line up better, but again, with Chris's help, we've worked seamlessly to try to keep that and get that in line. With that said, under that new look, if we look at that and we're redoing, our, job descriptions anyway, we're redoing our job description. If we combine those, we could add him on that EMPG list, upwards in the amount. Is 20,000, maybe not quite the 24, but $20,000 to come back from that state EMPG funding as well. So that would be another offset and another addition that we could do that. We would comply with that.
Is this EMPG grant, is that strictly for salary?
No, does not have to be for salary.
Okay.
I shouldn't say most, a lot, the major percentage.
Because in all reality, out of all these numbers, that grant is strictly being tossed in as a revenue. We are not, how should I do it? It's never been EMPG grant number, revenue, full salary,
Strictly
expense
salary.
number. And those two have never talked about it before. I cannot believe and I'm learning more about this. I cannot believe our auditors have not.
That's what we said. We didn't realize that the state's the one that called me on it and asked me about it.
Yeah.
Because when I got the reports that I had to do, she goes, well, the numbers don't match. Because you know how you give us the unique expenditure code and the revenue code every year? Those numbers aren't matching.
I give you a revenue code for the grant. I've never given you an expenditure code for the EMPG except for the COVID one. And then there was a maintenance and a supplemental.
Yeah.
But as far as the regular, your yearly one that you guys get, you don't have expenditure numbers for those. It's strictly just going into the
We're gonna have to
budget.
sit down and get
Yeah,
that.
and that's,
Because in the grant portal, when I send you the email that we need every year, is the expenditure code and the revenue code. I pulled them all from 2019 to current. Did you forward that off to her?
I do not, yeah, I haven't had a chance.
I can forward it off to you, but I showed you exactly what expenditure code and revenue code that we were given to use.
But I wonder,
I don't know.
but
what
they're
the-
probably just a general expenditure code and not labeled
Because I know on-
minor equipment
Yeah.
EMPG. you know, so
Yeah.
that's the problem, so. And I can't believe we haven't been called on it, if we're pulling in that revenue and we have to track the expense, and probably the best route, instead of me making oodles of new general ledger numbers, we do it with the project accounting.
All I know is
Fiscal to fiscal, okay, EMPG grant 24,
Yeah.
25, whatever, and we
there's some
can
of
use
them that
that.
are like that. And that's what, it threw me off. There's some that has the whole claim or revenue code or expenditure code, and there's some that just say EMPG 21. So that it's kind of over the board, all over the place. So we need to, I gotta call in the state to try getting this exactly ruled.
And what we're talking about here too with the state, our state is Home Security and Emergency Management. I believe is exactly what you said. Our state auditor that comes in and does the books along the way, we walk in with the federal paperwork. We hand them the federal paperwork, they take it over, bless it, sign it, bring it back,
Yeah, let's see.
and haven't said anything about
And
it.
in that paperwork, it asks for an expenditure.
But I wonder if the problem is they don't know the exact requirements of the grant.
They may not, you're spot on. We want to do it accurately, we want to do it correct and do it with ease of view. Now, going back to that original question, we base it off of administration. That's what a lot of.
Organizational.
If there's a project or a different way to look at it within our budget, we can look at that scope too, because we could ask for that. We never have, because it's been the cleanest in the past, it's just the dates have been so offset, it's been miserable to track and follow. And now hopefully we can get that line.
In fact, like you said, the 21 grant, we probably didn't get that funding until late 22.
Correct.
We haven't got any funding since 2021. Unless it went in some
went somewhere.
revenue number
It went
that's,
somewhere, because I got the stuff from the state.
that it
Got
didn't, that it didn't get tracked as an
Yeah.
EMPG grant.
And it probably went into, because before.
Probably went in just as a general revenue number, so there's no way to track it on our side if that's what happened.
Would I just ask Gina, just for the clarification here, would I ask Gina to get a printout of that from the treasurer's office maybe, or we'll just bring it up to you?
I mean, we can run revenue numbers, but unless I know what amount it was and about what date.
I got that in
I'm
an email, I got.
We got
we were
gonna
working on
look through
here.
pages and pages and stuff.
Okay, so with that,
My question is, you're going to do one budget now instead of two?
wait, that's three. We're asking for that, guys, we'll do two instead of three. We'll still do your service board budget on surcharge money.
Yeah.
Has to
That
remain.
has to be set.
That has to
That
remain.
can only go for 911.
Correct.
There's certain things we can use.
Then the other budget's gonna go for EMA.
We're asking,
911
to be a 911 division under EMA. That's what we're asking. That's what we present. We presented it both ways, if we leave it separate. In the long run, with the new building, we're hoping that can save some money too, because we think some of that surcharge money can go, but we've got to check that out with the state as well. Homeland Security's got to improve some of that, but we will look at that in that.
Surcharge can only be 911.
Well, there's certain things within 911,
Offices,
office stuff,
just not his salary.
Better look at the code.
We are.
I got
I
it
have
from
two.
Blake DeRushi, the state 911 guy.
Certain things you can't do with it too.
Yeah, and that's,
It's a touchy situation.
we would only get approval through the state director and the auditor's office. That's where that has to go. She
Can
gets
we,
that.
so if you combine this, are you getting rid of, so the only 911 funds that you would be using for the 4010 is the surcharge?
Yes. If I'm hearing your question right, all the money that, basically what you guys, the board of supervisors, gives me for 911, would just basically be giving it to, on top of Rick's. Because we don't actually pay any of my salary benefits, anything through surcharge. All that comes through general,
The boards of,
It comes out of,
yeah,
the 1210. Not the $9, or whatever the hell it is.
Surcharge can't pay for wages.
right,
Not 911 wages, it can pay for GIS wages.
yeah, which is silly. Yeah, which is silly. But that's just the way it's written.
And every county is probably doing it different.
There's
A lot.
very
yes,
few.
99 different ways.
99 different ways.
Very few doing it the same, you're right.
I got a question.
Yes.
What the state legislature's been trying to do,
Correct.
With 2019.
will that conflict with what you're trying to do here.
It won't conflict with the budgeting piece of it, that's gonna be the administrative side of it. What that will conflict will be the makeup of the board that we talked about before, that could conflict.
Are you talking the 29C rewrite
That they're doing right now.
for us being a levying body?
Right, yes.
Yes, no, that won't affect how that is as long as we're under EMA.
So there's no limitations that's gonna change on there what you could use the levy money for.
No,
Well, my hopes would be out of all of this, to be really honest with you, as the board members and press, but to the whole commission, to be able to do this in a way that gives you as the board members and the auditor's office more flexibility with that money that's out there, rather than the allocation that is two separate ones that go to 911. The one that's, you have to, the surcharge, but this is the other if we combine. The other piece that this does, and we'll talk about my succession planning, because that's gonna happen no later than 2025, for sure, no later than. And what happens with this, it's a little more, it's a little more lateral. It's a little more lateral in that positioning as well. Because we did talk at the brief point with HR about this and making sure we were doing things correctly that way too. But again, that would probably have to be a conversation with the board, HR, as long as we have that recommendation from this commission to be able to take to and make sure we're doing right for the.
So if you get this recommendation, are you looking to implement this for this budget year?
2025,
Okay.
with this budget that we're working on.
Combining the departments,
Yeah,
correct.
2025.
We already got 24 budget already done, 24, or 23, 24, whatever budget.
23 into
So
20.
you're looking to implement this July 1,
2024.
Next July.
Yes.
2024, this is 25.
Okay, fiscal year, let's do it this way, because July 1 of 2024 is technically fiscal year 2025.
July 1, correct.
So that's that's the date you're looking at.
Yeah, that's the budget we're gonna approve this year.
So in other words, this all has to be done within the next 2 months.
That's correct.
This is done.
If we can get to that point. If we can't get to that point, here's the.
That's my concern. I mean, and I'm not against it, I am not. Financial nightmare trying to figure out and track along with 14 other departments right now.
Yep.
Maybe they should be back up another year.
Well, and that's what we want to at least do the legwork. That's why we have it separated. If we need to keep that separate, I'm fine with that. Plus, that also allows us, and Chris, you're right, the only thing that I would ask that if we do overlapping on a hire for 2025 I can write off into the sunset, maybe we can still talk about that on this separate is whatever.
I just personally think there's a lot of unanswered questions to
There is,
implement it by, well, technically, a little over a month. Because we go through budgets in January.
And that's why when we talk about the timeline too, just yesterday, I seen the email come from John Parker. Keep in mind, emergency management's the first one that needs to be to the auditor's office on February 28th. I originally put that commission date down February 28th, so we're gonna have to back that off by at least a week. So we're already looking at February 21, I think. We'll look at that when we look. You're spot on. You're spot on.
And I do have an email in to the Department of Management, because when you guys have they're coming out of separate funds, and if we combine that, are we going to lose that taxation process? I don't know. I
I
don't
don't think
know.
so, but let us know that, because
Yeah.
I don't want that to happen either. You're correct. Yeah. Well, let us know what you find out on that. And thank you for researching that side of it, because I have no clue on that side.
Yeah.
So that's why we're talking about all this. So as an ask that I would say, and for you, Ron, continue with the meeting, I'd say right now, we need to go down both paths yet, because we're not there. A lot of unanswered questions on how it's gonna look, a lot of unanswered questions on what the job description is gonna look like, and we'll have to backtrack on my dates, but especially after what's happened personally this last year. Dawn was pretty lucky she could get the keys and pager earlier this week, so,
Anyway, around it's gonna be June of 24.
25, yeah.
So
June of 25, he's walking out.
Why would the job description be changed? We're still gonna have a 911 coordinator.
We do, we have a 911
And you're
coordinator.
gonna have an assistant EMA
Yeah,
Like we do now.
but it's really, really old and it's outdated now, so
It's
even,
gonna
it
It's gonna update.
needs to be updated.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
It needs to be updated, so.
The bottom line is, the figures, the bottom figures aren't gonna change.
$20,000 by $20,000 if we when we combine them.
Yeah,
But we gotta include the building too, that's including the.
that's what we're building, which I figured out, 17 or 18,000, I think, was an additional, so kind
I
of.
think the board needs to hear from other counties before we go.
Yeah, do you know how many counties are doing this?
We don't know other counties have done this.
And if there's some that are bad,
I don't.
let's get some
Well,
stuff from them, so we're not.
The one thing that we're running into is, we're one of the lucky counties that have two in our office. A lot of these offices we're running into only have one,
Right.
in both, so it's a little bit different. What our big thing is, what we're trying to do is, you know, one of the main reasons we wanna do it is open up some of that EMPG slings, get back. And then you can't do it with a part-time employee, it has to be a full-time emergency management employee.
And the two other counties that I know, that I've talked to one personally to answer that, and I agree, I want her peers to talk to her, I want our peers to
Yeah.
talk to. And Sean up in Winnebago County, they are doing that, and he says he likes what they did as the process. He said he'd never do it again like he did it, because he's the only one in the office.
That's what we gotta find out.
That's what we have to find
I
out.
talk to those people.
Yeah, and how they went about
That's
it.
why I say, I think we need to put this back a year
Yeah.
to really get it right before we jump into it, try to do it for the moment
Yeah.
and screw it all up.
If we don't, that's the last thing we want to do. Screw it.
So I think, you know, take a little time to do it right, rather than jump
And
into it and do it wrong.
the other piece of that is, I will add one more thing to that, sorry, I'll add one more thing to that, but the board of supervisors knows where I'm going with this, and so does the sheriff. That also may align us up better with this, in the EMS advisory that you guys have put together. I know they're gonna be meeting the first couple of weeks in December, and they're gonna have some stuff they're gonna bring back to the board as far as recommendations on what our EMS and first response agencies are gonna look like. Maybe that's something we can work with together too at the same time, rather than they come to Chris, looking at her again and going, here, we've got all these changes, let's do this all at once and try to do it correctly, or to the best of our ability. So you might be spot on, and that helps to look, because especially in that process, the last thing we want to do is we do not want to hurt what Fairbanks program looks like, and we do not want to hurt what Jessups program looks like, because they've got great EMS service over there. And an ambulatory service, so we're looking at that too right now, guys, so.
North End County, we're gonna be very service role.
Yeah, absolutely, so we're looking at 8 other ambulance services that we're dictating. and
That's gonna have to
talking
go
about.
down.
So,
Way around it.
yeah, so things are gonna change, that's just the way it's gonna be, things are gonna change. Whatever that looks like. And that'll be, obviously, that's a lot of weight on the board's shoulders right now, it really is, but we got good people looking at it, so that's what we're looking at, continue to work down that road, and continue to work on the two looks, and see where we are. Executive board, be ready to have some work sessions, but we'll open that up, anybody that wants to come in and help with that side, we'll lean on the EMS folks as well. And always, as always, the sheriff. He gets called a lot. Other questions, comments?
He's like,
I got something real quick.
Sure.
Go back, I don't know if you touched on it or not, I know shortly after I came on the board, you know, your old pickup was dying.
Yep,
And had to be buried and stuff, and then there was no funding out there.
correct.
So actually what we had to do was go to a lease purchase
Yep.
thing, so we could get it replaced and stuff like that. Are you setting anything aside in your budget? Are you allowed to do a reserve setback?
Thank you for bringing that up, because that was the other additional one, and Chris had pointed that out, and I went over it because of all other funding. We had put the lease purchase in there at $10,000 a year. We originally wanted to keep that after the lease was paid off, but again, the budgets were tight, everything was going, so the last years, we took that back out. That is $10,000 line item that we're looking at.
Put it back in.
Vehicles to put back in, because we are, as a commission, we are allowed to do carryover. We can even do it and don't have to have it designated. We have always had something that we've designated for. Now we've had emergencies come up, we've got some work we're doing on the command, one of the command trailers again, that we didn't normally have budgeted. I think we're still gonna be okay, but if we would have had that, we'd have had that covered and not have to beg, borrow, and steal again to get things fixed. But that is to plan for the future and put stuff aside, so that's what that 10,000 is.
And maybe there's something else that you could come up with, maybe needs to be added in there, a major expense thing that you know is gonna come out in 5 years or whatever.
We talked about that and generator backup for the building, all this kind of stuff that we need to plan that other stuff for, plus that little bit, what really hurts us in disaster and emergency work is when that stuff happens, COVID, the brain drain and the money drain, the money hemorrhage that COVID cost the county and everything along the way. Yes, some of it was reimbursed, but you guys did get it all collected, or what was expended out
I
there.
still don't think we got our last check.
I know we haven't, I know. So, I was expecting that before EMPG, but anyway, with that being said, we're planning. In fact, I took a call from, our social worker, L1, Kimberly, and they're looking for some funding for an individual that's fallen on some hard times. So I sent her to the Disaster Recovery Coalition because our 501c3 Disaster Recovery Coalition does have some funding to take care of just this kind of thing. Anything to start with and go, it's so hard. So that's why that is in there, at least for consideration. If it comes to the point where it's tied your hands, but we really want to look at this and.
Does this mean like putting a 5-year plan together?
Yeah, but no less than a 5-year plan. I like to call them 6-year plans. A 6-year plan with then somebody's can hit the ground running and you look at it every year.
See the trucks at 17?
Then, yeah, trucks are 17, 2017.
That lease is all paid out.
Yeah, you're all paid up, done, paid for 2 years, yeah. Yep. So, yeah, great question, thank you.
You don't have anything set aside if you have a disaster.
Nothing, just a disaster recovery coalition. That's all. And it just comes back on us and depending on how we declare. Here's the other thing, and please don't ever do this politically. Nobody ever has since I've been here. You do not have to declare as a county if you don't want to. We just always have. If we have something happen, we declare, we let the state tell us no. I feel that, I've always felt that's been the correct way to do it. Individual cities, if you remember when the train derailed over in Jessup, I called the county board of supervisors, yes, we declared as an individual city, but we automatically declare as a county. That opens up everything, and we can ask for state resources right away. That's the way we've always done it. Let the state say no, and we've been pretty successful in the past because of that. But with that said, it's tighter and it's harder to get funding now because the state's doing it to you guys too. And so it's harder to get disaster limits. We've mitigated, if you look at what we've done since 97, you know, the flood buyouts, 172 homes have been bought out in Buchanan County. That's 172 families that will not be affected again with flooding. So it's successful, but now we don't get the disaster funding with floods.
Or
some of
some
these-
new tax bases that would come out that we don't get.
And I tell you, that was talked about 10 years to recoup, because that very thing happened. One thing that we did since 97, when we do have that happen, we brought developers to the table, and at that time it was Halsey and God rest their souls, but Greenlee and some of those developers would say, where can we develop and bring in affordable income and bring that tax base back? But it is a loss. You lose that tax base. That's 172 homes that are now on not on the tax base anymore. And that's a hit. You bet it is. It takes 10 years to recoup that. So that sucks. You're right, Chris, and thanks for bringing that up.
Well, one of the things we noticed with the last grant, that means that not everyone on the county is the same page. Our city is not eligible for grant funding because it's not a community effort.
Yeah.
So even trying to go after some of that funding, we're not eligible because other towns around us.
Getting harder and harder.
Right.
Well, on the other end, Salt Town, there's enough zeros to get it.
Not even close.
Okay, any more on the budget?
That's
Before we get off that?
Yeah.
Succession.
So, I guess for my clarification, do you guys doing our budgets from getting ready for budget stuff for Rick's succession plan, if he plans on leaving? Is your guys' plan to hire after Rick leaves or bring somebody in before Rick leaves?
Well, I think we want to bring some in before.
Well, then that's, that,
We're gonna post the job.
yeah, but that, I'm saying that we have to figure out where that, we have to put that in this budget.
But if Rick leaves and somebody comes in, I mean, you've been working as his assistant and everything on this. Couldn't you train and take them underneath your wing instead of having Rick have to hire him 2 months before Rick leaves and have that extra expense?
Well, the thing of it is if we don't combine and we stay separate, when Rick leaves, I have to apply for his job. So then we have to go through the hiring process of that. So then.
No matter what, that job's gotta be posted. If you're an assistant right now, and that's perfectly fine, when he leaves, that job has to be posted and advertised. No matter what, you can't automatically roll into that.
See, that's, HR said different, that we're going with that.
That's why.
She talked to somebody
Is
that,
that like a, keep all that like a lateral transfer?
yes,
Yeah.
Lateral transfer.
Well, it's
That's
never
the word
worked in
she
any
used.
other departments.
That's
I
the
don't know
word she
how it would
used.
work.
It's a lateral transfer.
She did quote another department, she quoted what Dan's doing. Dan just announced his retirement, and Ben's gonna roll into his position.
No, if you combine departments and you change his job description to where you have to.
Emergency
hire
management.
Emergency management.
So that's-
It's a lateral
so
transfer.
you may be right, I'm going by, we're kind of got two sides on this, so.
Yeah,
All I'm trying to do is figure out, when I'm doing the budgets this year,
I think it's okay.
how we do that, because if I have to apply for his job, if I apply for his job, it'll be, you're looking at probably 3 or 4 months process between that and getting somebody in to fill in.
and I'm gonna look at, help us do it correctly.
So basically, this whole combining the budgets is to roll you into this position.
No, that's
Is
up to
that
the
correct?
commission, well, that's just one of the.
But that's the goal, right? That's what your
Where we
goal
don't have to,
is.
for it to help the succession plan.
That's
That's
still
still
the
up to
commission.
that's still a commission decision.
That's still the commission's
Well,
decision.
I understand that.
But then we only have to post one job, and we can do it a lot faster, and it'd only be right away.
If that's commission wishes,
Yeah.
or the commission can say, stay where you're at.
Yep.
Post the job, hire the job, and do it that way. It is strictly the commission's decision.
We're trying to play all sides of it to figure out the best way to do this.
So we do it that way, then he would have to bid on the job.
Correct.
And that's the other way, it's
Because that's what he's supposed to,
Yeah,
Right.
and then if I get his job, then we gotta post my job.
if we replace it.
Or,
Nothing
yeah,
says we have to replace it.
or under that assistance, well, whatever you want to
I know,
look like.
that's what I mean.
Yeah, that's
So it
totally.
would need to replace it.
Well, I'm just saying, yeah, I'm not saying we wouldn't.
Well, you'd have to replace
Maybe,
911
maybe
coordinator
budget,
too then.
Yeah,
maybe budget would constrain it.
no, like she said, you still have to replace the 911 coordinator.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but that wouldn't be,
So there's this,
it wouldn't be this many hours. Other county 911 coordinators.
Part-time.
10 hours a week.
yeah. They do, that's again, going back to,
So
they
there's
go
all.
so many different ways all over the state.
I mean, there for a while, you just had kind of like what I'd call a glorified secretary too.
Yeah,
one,
one.
that's me now, I'm the secretary.
Yeah.
I want
Well, and Wanda didn't want to call it that, but she had a lot more responsibility under her too, but you're right. Yeah, and thank you for that, yeah, absolutely, and, Wanda still checks in with me, by the way, she's a gem, but,
So to me, I think there's options that we could look at.
Yeah.
You know, we
absolutely.
The big thing I'm trying to do is for the budget purposes, how that's gonna look.
Well, I understand.
We need
what
to add some.
concerns, but also you're talking 2 months here to figure this all out. I think that's impossible.
Yeah, and then I'm fine with doing that, but are we good, we have to,
You gotta know how to.
do you want me to do money in the budget, or are we gonna do it after he leaves? Because the budget we're doing he'll be gone, your plan was June 30th of 25, and this budget would start July 1st.
Of 24.
Correct. This is July 1st.
So basically, the transition will take place, your FY 26, which will start July 1 of 2025.
Correct.
You'll do that next year in
Next-
January of
I'm on to that.
2025.
If we get this done now, if not, it'll be the following year.
Next year.
Yeah, no matter what budget. your transition budget, you're leaving June 30th of 2025.
So that would be next year.
So you got 18 months.
So you got 18 months to figure that all out.
Okay, I thought, I got the year wrong.
You figured out before that.
Well, but he's leaving in 25.
June of 25.
Right, then part of, if you're gonna be doubling up, then in that spring of 25.
No. Are you gonna, so you're doubling up hiring someone?
Well, but
at
that's
that
what they're
point?
asking about. They replace somebody before he leaves.
Or you don't, and you just advertise, and you start at July 1.
Why can't we just go
Okay.
July, or January?
I can start July 1.
I'm probably gonna get in trouble. Why are we worrying about that? Because in all reality, right now, I'm not dumb. You're probably gonna roll in, there's probably a 99.9% chance you're gonna roll into that position. So let's not dwindle on this little petty stuff right now, because you know that's where it's gonna go.
But you have to go through the process and you have to be open and.
I understand
what you're
that, but we're mingling over what to put in the budget, and what not to put in the budget, and we all know what's gonna happen.
Oh, yeah.
Can't say that, can't they?
You're saying it's at the end of the fiscal year, are you paying 2 salaries or 3?
Maybe.
That's all.
I don't
we're
believe
doing.
it. I don't say that.
No, let's just move on.
Yeah,
And we'll figure that out later.
yeah. We'll figure that out. We'll figure that out on what we go. We just wanna do it correctly for your office to the best of our ability.
But I think a big help here is get some templates from some other counties. If they're saying this is working so well for them, and then also at the same time, say, you mentioned that one county and said,
We don't know that yet.
they said that they would have did a little different.
Yeah.
And what was that a little different?
What county did you say that was from?
Spreadsheet, Sean Snyder. And then there's,
Tina Baker.
Jody is doing, Jody Freak down in Cedar County is doing, a big radio project, so she's doing 911 stuff as well. I don't know what their job description looks like, I have no clue. So that's, yeah, that's the two.
She's got a secretary.
Or references, she does. She does.
Whatever the title is.
Yeah,
There's two
administrative
people or
assistant,
something.
administrative assistant, yeah.
There's such thing, you get a small committee together, kind of hash out some of these
Not a
details.
bad idea.
I think that's what you're gonna have to do here.
Go off the executive board, put a committee together. Ron, what's your thoughts?
It's fine.
Kind of hash some of this stuff out and then kind of bring it through the full board.
It's a good idea. Do we have anybody that would offer to be on that committee? We need 5 people, 3
Well,
people.
just a second.
Besides Gerald, I think that's a grand idea.
I didn't know if you wanted to run to the executive board first, I guess that's who you want to run with.
I'd say you probably want an executive board member on it,
Okay.
but otherwise, anybody, you can set any committee off of this and report back to the executive board. I think it's a great idea, Gerald.
If we got 18 months, we can just wait till after budget's this year and start that process.
Yeah, no,
Because I assume you probably need board approval and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Everything, so, yeah. To me, that's what, obviously, enemy here should be.
I see you keep sliding over every time.
Can't get out of harm's way.
now, let me qualify this. We do a lot of picking on Chris.
I know, and I always have to play the devil's advocate.
But what I really want to go with right now, we're finally, because, and not by your fault, Chris, finally get some continuity up there. So if you want to assign somebody out, Ann's been great to work with, Amanda's been great to work with. I know a lot falls on your shoulders, but my God, assign that out. If you need somebody up in that office to help, I'll work with anybody up there because they've been genuinely good to work with. So,
As far as me being on this little committee, say I'm not doing it, but I honestly do not know the complete ins and outs of what EMA has to do, what E911 has to do, and all the different branches. So in all honestly, I don't think I'm very beneficial as far as bringing that in. I just stated what I stated. I know where this is going, and that's okay. And I understand it's the board's decision. But let's not squabble back and forth and waste all this time. and make it work.
And let's,
That wasn't the reason we wanted to bring them together was all about EMPG.
Right.
It wasn't about me
And
taking.
I have this much faith in your EMPG grants.
I know it's a pain in the, it's a pain
We
in
just gotta
the,
figure out how to do it right.
but I think if the committee would make a commitment, to just say, hey, pick up
Somebody's
the
got
phone,
some minimum.
pick up the phone and call Chris for me, would you please?
Yeah, I get the state in here to explain how to do EMPG. She's fine,
Well,
she'll do that anytime.
We've talked
She
about that,
offered that.
setting up like a Zoom, but without. Your thought?
Quite frankly, when, the executive board said, well, you can put the numbers together, and I'm like, yeah, Chris, I said, just put both budgets together, let's put them side by side. He did put both budgets together, and I am not sure how it happened, but if those numbers are right, you're saving like $19,000, and that's not including any EMPG money.
And that's,
By
and Gerald found
combining the
it may
two.
be wrong, I tried doing it without having the budget packets. That's the problem.
Right, and I mean.
Once I get the
just-
budget packets, then we can actually put it.
Right,
Well, you could use your spreadsheet you used last year.
And that's what
it is.
Yeah.
That's what we did.
Somehow I got, somewhere I got a.
But we still have to have the actuals because of the wonderful COVID stuff.
everybody talking about saving money or wanting to save money, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, there's no $19,000 line on the floor.
Yeah, which one's the combined? I think I've read.
One that's got.
One has separate on the bottom, one has combined,
Or together.
or together, I
Yeah.
should say.
These separate together.
Separate together.
Oh, you don't have it right on
Easiest
your.
way to do it.
We can reset that, we can reset that.
I may have sent on the copies, the one that doesn't have, the one that doesn't have the part-time line item is the combined one.
I got it separately, you gotta agree each other.
If you took a packet that I printed, I wrote on, for that way you guys.
Oh, I don't have it. Because I just look at yours.
Here,
like-
sure,
like-
Chris, have this.
I have it upstairs on my email, I just printed it all out.
There's more packets here too.
Yeah, we go that. So
All
anyway,
right, anyway,
how do you wanna handle, you wanna do a committee, you wanna run, I guess up to you, how do you wanna, we got volunteers or email us, I don't care. Somebody wants to volunteer and
Anybody
do.
want to volunteer to be on it first?
I'll be on it.
I'll be on it. Chris?
Let's get moving on. Sure.
Thanks.
Commission down
Got those, Chris?
Try to get five.
at 3 o'clock.
Try to get 5, 2 more?
Blake?
I'll do it.
All right.
Charlie? Perfect, there's your 5, right?
Who we got?
One, we got Gerald, Blake, Chris, Dawn, Charlie, and Charlie.
Okay.
You got that in the minutes?
No.
You want that recorded?
Yes.
That's why we're recording it, okay,
Good experience.
all right.
Next item, if there's something else on the.
Oh my gosh, yes, it is, the disaster update, they're closing that stuff all out, I don't know if, like I said, like Chris had mentioned, we're still waiting on that check as well, so I don't know what that's gonna look like. $13,000 still eligible, if I remember right around 13,000, so that money's, went in, or that ask went in, and the first part of sitting on my desk, so we'll get that, hopefully I get left alone tomorrow.
let's wait to talk to Chris and figure out how to put it in.
Well, true, we'll make sure we got it on the right number, you're right, yeah, make sure we got it on the right number, so we'll run through that, but other than that, that's all I really got on disaster update, we're
Quick
good on it.
question.
Yes,
What is a DR 4483 for those?
the presidential disaster directive, they give each disaster a federal number, and that is the COVID disaster.
that's COVID?
Federal, yeah, sorry.
4483 is COVID.
Correct. That is the current disaster directive we're under right now. And that is the only one we're under right now. We finally got rid of everything else is closed. So this, if you want to know how long we've been doing this, the first disaster that I was involved with in 1999 was in the 1200s. Was 1207, so from 1999 to now, current date, we've had that many federal declarations. Buchanan County's been named at 17 of them since I've been doing this. Just as a point of interest. Thank you, Ron.
All right, project.
Chris, the grants update, you want to talk about the $5,000 pipeline association
Yeah,
grant?
I asked, pipeline for some money to get go kits for, Rick and myself to, if we didn't have the truck, we'd at least have the equipment, on our personal vehicles to show up. I've gone to a couple calls with no vest, no helmet, nothing. So we basically talked to the Pipeline Association and they liked the idea of it, so they said, yeah, go ahead. So what we did is gave me $5,000 and I pieced out a bunch of different stuff that we need. So that's it.
It's a backpack?
Yeah.
Some weather determining equipment, some other stuff like that. The Emergency Operations Center, coming along nicely. If you get a chance to hop out, if public health office is open, they can show you through, and or you just have to watch it as a construction zone or call us if you want. I know Dawn and Clayton and John have all been out there and kind of overseeing and seeing things. We appreciate that. We appreciate all three board members very much. Communication and stuff is very helpful, so we like that along the way. In the contract, they have till June 30th, they had it done. The schedule that they gave us, they plan on turning it over to us February 5th. Yeah. But that's maybe. Well, there's been some positive. Little minor stuff I've been working through, but we got a heck of a crew working on it. They seem to be a heck of a company.
Is that sprinkler or being sprinkler? Or is that building sprinkler?
Okay, planning update.
ESFs, emergency support functions, that's our planning requirements that we have to do. This calendar year's emergency support functions are 2, 5, 10, 15, and then there's some recovery support functions that we'll have to do, basic and housing. The reason I bring that up, I pick on the departments and their entities. I like extra eyes looking at it, so I email this stuff out as we're working through and do that. Anything that covers that. Let me tell you what they are. 2 is communications.
Management.
Yeah, 5 is emergency management. 10 is always our hazardous materials one. Fire department usually look at that for us. And 15 is public information. So we'll talk about our public information officer and that type of training. We'll probably talk with Charlie and the schools and the hospital when they talk about their separate public information pieces. Just know that so that you're aware of it.
But we have to do much of that, or just review it?
Just review it. It'll just be a review. I don't think we're gonna have to, the only thing we want is if we do our combined training that we have, required training that we have to do for recertification has to touch that. And if we do any exercising or community involvement, like we've talked about before, special events or anything, we want, communication is always touched on, so that's never a problem. You know, we never do that. We never have to worry about that.
Some of the events we do out there with the commander,
Absolutely.
count that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So everything.
September of next year.
It could be, yeah, it could be community oriented, special events, but especially the real events. We take action and credit on any and all that, and or our planned exercising that we do. So it used to be, we were able to get everything that we needed from Dwayne Arnold, but since they decommissioned, we don't have that partnership anymore. If you know about the partnerships other than association, and those people have been amazing to work with, so we're really lucky there. But other than that, that's it. Used to be when I first started, we had a whole recovery plan that was separate. And then they said, no, you don't have to do that anymore. We're gonna combine it into the emergency support functions. And then 2008 hit. And recovery, rebuild Iowa and all that. I said, you know, we need to separate recovery support functions out again, so let's separate again. So just the way it is. You got it.
Okay, on to the next, we got an election to do.
Elections, you as a commission.
Myself are up.
Yep, you as a commission need to let me know how to handle that, and we sent out the list of, thank you, Gerald, I do want to add that story, we, being public health in our office was updating our, support facilities, anybody within the communities, a lot of you've seen that come in. So about the first 2 calls we made, people that are on our list to call for getting into a facility and moving to shelter have been deceased for a year. So we sent this out and we didn't see Mike Carter's name on it, and Gerald said, you might want to get him off the list. So, we apologize for that. but help us with that and let us know, when those do happen. Ron and Dawn are up. We do have 3 cities and 3 new mayors. We do not collect delegate and alternate forms. I don't know how you as a commission want to do that and what their intentions are. Those 3 cities are Fairbank, Pulaski, and Stanley. The only one off the executive board that would affect be Ron, as from Fairbank. I don't know what, I have not talked to Jason at all. Jason Kaiser's the new mayor up there. I don't remember Pulaski, Stanley is Bob Irvine.
Vermont has a mayor too, don't they?
Mike,
Mike Cook.
Kowalski's
I
Joe.
missed that.
Mike Cook will take over, was it January?
We all take over.
Okay, thank
Did
you.
we miss Mike Cook?
Missed Mike. You know,
Was he interim mayor?
All right.
Kowalski, Joe Miller.
Miller,
Yeah, Joe Miller.
thank you. I don't know that name.
He hasn't lived in town very long.
Okay. So, as a commission, again, we can postpone it till after the first of the year and do delegates and alternate forms and see what everybody comes back with. The only thing I remind, and then I think most everybody here knows this, the new ones might not know. We do keep one elected position, whether it be the delegate or the alternate, one elected position for the sake of the vote on the budget. That is, you have to have elected officials majority voting on budgeting. And that helps that delegation go back to the,
We've always been lucky to have enough elected and a quorum to do
Correct.
that.
correct.
We never had a problem. But it could be,
So however the commission wants to do it, wait on our current bylaws are. Bring it up tonight.
Are the 2 willing to serve again in the first motion?
but I don't know. I don't know either.
Yeah, you might.
I'd be willing to take on the chairman role.
Do we have to kind of want to wait and see?
I don't know, I'll wait and see.
I guess I don't know how that works.
I don't know. To me, I would say get your delegate and alternate forms in and see. Then let the minutes show that Donna mentioned something, but we really don't know who is gonna be sitting here in those elected positions. There might be other ones willing to step up, and I'm willing to work with that, absolutely anybody on any of the elected positions that I've seen come. Sticky wicket. We can call that in our work sessions, yeah. So, how the commission wants to do it. I think, Joe, do you want to make a motion?
I think we should probably wait till we have all the new members present. In position.
Gotcha, Charlie.
You got it first, who's the second?
I'll second.
Go on the second.
I'll second.
Okay, you have a first and a second. Wait.
And as of right now, so all of the executive board stays the same. So if that's clear as a motion.
Till next meeting, is that the way you?
I assume that's the way you'd have to do
Okay.
We'll be meeting in February, anyway.
For sure, fall in February, it might be January.
All in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion carried.
Chris, do you want me to send a sheet out or do you want to?
What sheet?
Delegate, no.
Delegate alternate.
We've offered to do it every year. We usually.
Some
I
years.
guarantee I don't even have that. I'm guessing that's something that's what was done, always done in the past.
I think,
Some years she wanted me to do it, other years she wanted to do it. So.
I think you blessed us the last.
I would honestly prefer you guys, I mean, it's your guys' commission, I do not need my fingers in on top of that. You
I just
take
don't wanna
care
step
of
on
it.
your toes.
Oh, no.
They plan on doing it.
No, I don't need to do this.
It's easier for me to ask than why don't you just do it?
Oh.
Are you sticking up for me?
I don't like doing that.
Now you're trying to butter out, seriously. 2 hours into the night. and you're trying to
So
butter out.
I'll send it out to the clerks, city clerks. So make sure you ask your city clerks about it, because last year we only got about 3 of them back, 4 of them back.
Yeah, we had to pester a little bit last year to get it going a long way. So, perfect, thank you.
Training updates, that's.
The training updates, it's the same training update that we talked about in 911, the 191, ICS. We have approval now. We have a trainer coming in on March 20th. So with a little bit of luck, we'll be able to do that out at the new office. Hopefully they can stick by their timeline, but we will send out notices on that.
Is that a day reading?
Pardon me?
Day reading?
It's an 8-hour class.
Yeah, it'll be all day long night, so, should be good, hopefully people, especially the new ones, but I would say you don't even have to be part of this commission. Any of your elected officials, anybody who wants to come into this, that could possibly have a role in an emergency operations center. I would entertain that anybody can come to it, so we'll put more on that later. Yeah. And then the May date of the conference, right, as of right now, we're both planning on attending as long as there's not a disaster, or depending on our family situation and what I have happened there, so.
My daughter graduates college in the 10th.
And we haven't heard a
Get it
date,
back early.
and we haven't heard a date. I've got our oldest granddaughter will be graduating this year, so bittersweet on 2023, but we'll have a wonderful 2024, so. I haven't heard that date yet either, so that's a good play. Otherwise,
Anything else? Any other?
I got a question on the budget issue and stuff like that. I mean, like the building out there now, I mean, you guys are operating now in the courthouse and everything like that. They're moving out their building. I mean, that's a county building out there. As far as insurance is what I'm working on here is the insurance costs, the premiums and stuff like that. So this is the building and everything and the further fixtures is gonna be on the county. Now, how is it working on insuring the command trailer, the pickup, and all the equipment you got out there? How is them premiums paid?
that list goes into, we pay that, we pay that separately. You pay that, the commission pays that, that is part of the budget, that's part of everywhere we go. John Evers has that list, keeps that list, we make sure we fix that section.
And they're billed separately.
Not everything. Yeah,
They have.
we've always done it, well, God, those famous words. We've always done it that way, but it's been very, very clean.
That was true statement.
Yeah, that
I'll
actually
leave
is
it
very,
that
very clean. They give me an email and say, hey, your insurance paperwork's up here, come up and sign. We got a claim, we make the claim and away it goes. So we just add the list as we go, as what we do. In fact, we just did it recently with the drone project, so you're seeing that come through.
And I believe that is why we get the ICAP grant separate than you guys.
Correct, as a separate commission. And
We
that,
get it every year.
good question, because that's all that it costs, the maintenance, the insurance, that's all that it costs.
Because we knew what would happen to our insurance costs.
That's, I know.
We've
that's-
already been told 30%.
Yeah, when John gave us that news, I think everybody's medication wore off in the room that day.
Mm-hmm.
When they talked about 30%, that's bizarre. Plus with what the state's done to the county, you have besides, put all kinds of limits and caps, and I feel bad for all of you as elected officials. I really don't
I
want you
ask
to.
myself
glutton
on a
for
regular
punishment.
basis.
We don't know why we do it either.
We're gluttons for punishment.
Well, thank you for what you do. I will tell you as a sidebar note, okay, I'm gonna tell you the sidebar note after we close the meeting and, quick recording. Meeting cadence. The one thing that we had for the good of the association, thank you for reminding me, we put the meetings out. There is probably gonna be one change already. And thank you, a lot of you have been checking in with me, Roger, I know you check in with me on a regular basis, Gerald, you check in on a regular basis. We have had some executive meetings, but, with the week on full commission, we've just been so tied up and busy. The February one is probably gonna change because of that budget requirement, but I won't say it's gonna be the exact week prior, because we wanna work with Chris on that, but, put these on your calendars, so take a look when you get back home, look at them. If you have major conflicts, please let our office know. We want to get as many of you, on, but if we can look at 2024 and get these on the calendars, I think that helps everybody. So traditionally, we do executive meetings on Fridays, kind of, late breakfast, lunch type thing and get together. The other ones we try to do on Wednesday evenings, you can see what we put together there.
So you definitely won't be doing on February 28th then?
I'll probably be February 21. That's what we would shoot for, but I don't know that for sure. We'll write it down now for the 21st, and that's what we'll look at.
To be determined.
To be determined, yep. But if we can still, we're gonna try to keep to those things, and I wanna reiterate, because of everything that's happened, and because of what's going on, and at this point, I won't give you guarantee my existence at any given time on a set meeting date, but that's why we have backup. And the same with Chris. If Chris can't be there, I'll be there to represent 911. We've got good leadership in them roles, EMA and 911, and the sheriff backs up very, very well. Good cooperation, please. I'm convinced we'll keep moving. My heart may parachute out of my body by tomorrow, we're gonna so we've got to be ready to go. Does that make sense?
That can't happen.
So Rick, hazard mitigation plan approval since the last meeting, right?
Yeah, I don't know where we're at on the, do we have all the schools now and everything?
I have an email out to the schools. Our plan is approved through FEMA. For the cities to know, it is approved plan. The schools, in their adoption, they planned on approving it. And I got kicked back from the state. They wanted to actually be the writing, it is approved.
So we're just waiting to hear from the individual schools when but it is an approved.
It is an approved plan.
It's on the books, it's on the clock, and it'll be on the 5-year plan piece of it along the
Yes.
way. So that's a good question, because you each got, well, each of your communities have a role in that as you're writing grants or doing community projects or whatever you're doing, whether it be a siren project or any of that. Oh, and Intercog was reaching out again to double check on sirens. Most everybody was pretty good. I give them Stanley's name and who was the other one, right? Independence.
We wrote a notice of intent, but they told us it'd be unlikely due to the lack of,
Only one
city around that we.
That's too bad.
So,
Well, and Raleigh just did an update. So we don't know what they're doing, but that doesn't mean that's the only mitigation project. There's other mitigation projects that comply. So, get a hold of Intercog if you're interested. I can't remember. I think his name was Isaiah. Does that sound right? Okay. And, but they've been good to work with in the past for us and stuff too, so. Okay.
Okay, that's it, move to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Okay.
we have a first and second from the elected officials.
Yes, we do.
Minutes.
The only thing I'll add, when we get off